Top of the morning to you, ladies and gents. Welcome back to the channel. I'm not even going to tell you how many minutes it was talking into this webcam, only to realize that my microphone was on mute the entire time. So we're going to try this again. Today's episode is going to be a shorter one, and it kind of came about yesterday as I was editing episode number 5, the video that was posted yesterday. And I realized I said something that I didn't really comprehend until I rewatched it or when I was editing it. And so I'm going to show the clip here in just one sec, and then I'm going to come back on and talk about a few things that we can do right now to mitigate the risk of this happening, and a few things that will be coming down the road from Silverstone that I think is going to be a huge benefit to anybody who's holding Bitcoin right now and getting serious about Bitcoin. So without further ado, I'm going to show the clip and I'll be back right after that. For it to be unlocked. So you put in your first 4 there, you punch it. I'll try to keep this away from the mic. I'll put something in the top here, but this is how the punch works. No, that didn't work. There we go. So when you have this, if your house burns down, your seed plate is still going to be there. And for a lot of people, I think if their house burned down tomorrow, I think that their Bitcoin would possibly be gone with it. So it's something seriously to consider here. If you want to take it to the next level, highly recommend. So again, that clip was from the episode that was released yesterday, episode number 5, talking about cold storage options. So that's the Trezor, the COLDCARD, a crypto-only laptop, a physical device that allows you to transact, send and receive Bitcoin on the Bitcoin network. So if you have one of those devices, you probably also have your seed phrase, your private key that written down somewhere, where if you happen to lose your device or it got stolen, at least you would have your private keys or your password, the easier way to put it, to unlock that device. But what if they're in the same house and that house goes up in flames? I know it's pretty stupid to talk about, and it's very rare that houses actually burn to the ground, but it does happen. And even if it did happen, the majority of assets in your house would be covered through your insurance policy. But with your Bitcoin, how would you be able to prove that you had this much Bitcoin and that you still had it? And would your policy even cover the Bitcoin? I doubt it. I don't think there's many insurance providers in Canada who are offering that type of coverage. I'm sure there will be down the road in the next couple of years. There is one company in the US that I'm aware of that offers insurance for Bitcoin. But even when you're insuring that Bitcoin, you have to have processes in place to mitigate situations like this. So before they would secure your policy or finalize your policy, they would make sure that you had the right processes in place. And that would include having your device in one location and your private keys in a different location. So what I want you to think about, the first thing, what you can do today, you have a few options. The first one is the hardest one for sure. And that's going to be to memorize your private key. So one of the wallets that I have, my COLDCARD, or when I used to have Bitcoin before the boating accident, I had it on a COLDCARD, the majority of my Bitcoin, and I memorized that private key in case of this situation. I never really considered my house burning down, but I wanted to have it there just in case, worst case scenario. So that's one option, memorize your private key. Bitcoin's so cool to me in the sense that all you need to unlock, to access your money, your Bitcoin, is 12 words that you can memorize in your head. It's information. So that's the first option. The second option is writing down your private key, another backup of it, and giving that piece of paper or seed plate on steel, whatever that may be, giving it to the person that you trust the most in the world. That could be your parents, that could be a sibling, that could be your grandparents, best friend. Make damn sure that they have that in a secure place, though, because as I've mentioned, if anybody comes across that private key, they're going to have access to all your Bitcoin. So there are trade-offs there. I mean, the safest thing to do would be to memorize your private key. It is more difficult to do, but each one has its own trade-offs. So that's what I would recommend doing today. If you have a significant amount of Bitcoin on a device somewhere in your house and your backup keys are in that same house, make a backup or memorize it. So as I was editing this video, I realized that I forgot to mention the seed plate, which is what I was talking about in the original clip of this. So if you have the seed plate with your private keys punched into it, if something were ever to happen to your house, there's a pretty good chance that your seed plate would still be there in the case of a fire or wherever that may be. So once again, if you want peace of mind over this, if you want a cold card, if you want to do things right, you have a cold card, you have a seed plate, you have all the accessories needed to get that process in place. The cold card combo, which is on my website here, my calendar, I'm offering $100 off for anybody watching these videos. And you get a cold card, you get this seed plate, you get all the accessories you need to get this going. If you want to do things right off the start, or you have a significant balance of Bitcoin already and you want to make sure it's protected, make sure you do that. So just to conclude, your 3 options to do right now are memorize your private key, give it to somebody who you trust, make sure it's in a very safe place within their residence, or get the cold card, get the seed plate, and make sure that your private key is on steel. So I'll talk about the next part right now, but I wanted to just come back and mention that because I completely forgot about it. So carrying on. And the second thing I wanted to talk about here was something that I'm going to be offering hopefully in the next 2 or 3 months. I'm going to be working alongside a local law firm on this, and we're going to start offering a multi-signature solution for Bitcoin holders. And I talked about this briefly on yesterday's episode number 5, but multi-signature essentially means that in order to spend or move any Bitcoin out of your wallet, you have to have 2 out of 3 signatures to do that. So if you think about right now, you probably have a Moon wallet, you probably have an Exodus, even a COLDCARD. Those are all single signature wallets. So all you need is your device or your private keys to restore that device, and you can spend Bitcoin. But with a multi-signature wallet, you have to have 2 out of 3 devices, signatures, before anything can move. So let's think about this from a practical standpoint. I'm going to walk you through it here. So when you get started, we're going to provide you with 3 COLDCARD devices. So stick with me here. We have 3 cold cards. 2 of those cold card devices are going to be held with you. The third one is going to be held with your lawyer. With every one of those devices, you're also going to have a private key in case something happens to that device, you can restore it. So you have 2 devices with you and you have 2 sets of private keys with you. Your lawyer has 1 device and 1 set of private keys as well. So that's the starting point. From there, you're going to find a friend, a family member, whoever you trust most in the world, and you're going to give them 1 of your private keys from 1 of your devices. And your lawyer and that friend or family member are going to work together, or they're going to be not working together, but they're going to be obviously looped into this scenario planning. And so if something happens to you, the nice thing is that you're going to have full control of the Bitcoin as long as you need it. So you're going to have 2 devices. Anytime you want to spend Bitcoin, you have 2 devices. You can facilitate that. Your lawyer only has 1 device, so they cannot do anything with the Bitcoin. Your friend or family member, they have a private key to a device, which is essentially a device. Only 1 of them though, so they can't do anything either. So if something happened to your house tomorrow, if your house burnt down and both of your devices and both of your sets of private keys were in the house that burnt down, you would still have 1 point of failure, your friend, family member, and your lawyer would be there too. So then you'd have 2 out of 3. You could restore your multi-signature wallet and you have all your bases covered that way. So this is by far the highest level of security, highest level of scenario planning to be considered here. And I think that this is going to become more and more popular as we move along here for the people who have Bitcoin now and want to keep that Bitcoin safe into the future. Another aspect of this, and a small part of it, but an aspect of it, is that we're going to be setting people up as part of this process with a will. And so if you're 20, 30, 40, you hear the word will, it's something that you do not want to think about ever. But it's very important to have a will. If something were to happen to you, it would make your family members' life a complete nightmare, trying to figure out your assets, trying to locate them, trying to figure out where they go, trying to figure out how to repay your debt, all that kind of stuff. So it's very easy to do, to have something on paper, to have your lawyer involved in it. It's a very simple process, but it's just a matter of doing it. So that's going to be involved in this process. It's going to basically make sure that all of your bases are covered. Your assets that you have, your normal assets, and your Bitcoin or your crypto, whatever that may be, all your bases are going to be covered. And like I said, this is going to be coming out in the next 2 or 3 months. I want to mention it now because if there's anybody out there who's interested in this right now, we're going to start doing it. We're going to kind of run a pilot program, I guess you'd say. Even though we know how to do it right now, it's still just nice to go through the process, make sure that we have all of our ducks in a row before we start offering it to the general public. So something to keep in mind. I just wanted to put this out there, give you something to think about. I love the different planning of scenarios, making sure that even if the worst case happened, you're still going to be okay. I mean, if a bomb dropped on Manitoba tomorrow and everything was gone, the lawyer, your friend, you, then the Bitcoin's the least of your worries anyway. So this is kind of worst case without that extreme, right? So like I said, if you have any questions at all, you know where to find me. Set up a 15-minute free call. You can ask me any questions you want about the first part of this or the second part, the multi-signature. If you want to get involved with it, reach out to me and we can facilitate that. We're going to get that going as soon as we can here. So that's all I got for you today. I hope you're doing well. Hope you're staying warm. It's February. It's freaking freezing here in Manitoba. But the good news is we only have 2-3 months left maybe of cold weather. And then we're golfing. So take care of yourself. Hope you're doing well. And we'll talk to you very soon. Bye-bye.